Yo, what's going on, Headliner Nation? Welcome back into the Fantasy Headliners. Kyle here with my Dynasty quarterback rankings. But before we go any further, y'all just got to stop, okay? Just stop for a second and listen to my words to you about how these rankings work. Because as I was watching comments come in about my running back rankings, I could already tell that people had not been listening to the video, okay? So number one, these are Dynasty rankings. These are not for 2021. I can't even begin to comment on how many people were like, bro, you're disrespecting so-and-so this year. It's not about this year. Does it include this year? Yes, it does, but it's not about this year. It's about longevity, okay? Number two, I play Dynasty in a 3-year window, okay? Kind of my philosophy when it comes to Dynasty rankings are where are these guys going to be at the end of year 3, okay? So it's not necessarily who am I taking for this year or who am I taking for this year and next year, or even who am I taking for this year, next year, and the year after that. It's in 3 years, where do I anticipate these guys being? So now I can get an accurate projection on my team to start making some trades, to move on guys a little bit earlier, because that's what Dynasty is all about. The really successful Dynasty owners, all of you that are out there that know how Dynasty leagues go, it's about selling high on players right before their decline comes, okay? That is how you have longevity as an owner in Dynasty leagues, because you read the room when guys are at a peak value and you think their value is not going to get any higher or it will start to decline, you start to move them. And that's why I say we're playing in like a 3-year window, because if you're ready to compete, yeah, you might go all in on a guy that's only going to help you for the next couple of years. But if you're maybe building for the future or you're kind of in between, you want guys who are going to be ready to help in 2 to 3 years, okay? Not everybody is in a win now window in Dynasty leagues. There are lots of people out there who find themselves in an area where it's like, all right, my team isn't going to win this year. Maybe they'll do a little bit better next year. Maybe. So at that point, it's like, where are these guys going to be? So I know how I can set my team up for success when it's actually time for that to happen, okay? So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense, okay? I wanted to try and re-explain it because, again, based on some of those comments, I could tell people didn't listen at all to what I said at the beginning of the video. So hopefully you all listened now and you have a little bit better of an understanding on how I do Dynasty rankings. So without further ado, we're going to jump into it now, and we're going to talk about Dynasty rankings for our quarterbacks. Now, quarterbacks are far easier to rank in Dynasty than any other position because they hold longevity a lot longer than any other position, and their longevity is not only longer, but it's more successful, okay? So quarterbacks, it's a little bit easier to anticipate how guys are going to look in 3 years because of that. But let's take a look. Top 10 to start off with. We're going to go through our top 20, but let's talk about my top 10. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, at number 1, okay? Who wouldn't have Patrick Mahomes at number 1? If you don't have Patrick Mahomes at number 1, we got to have a talk because I need a better understanding of why, okay? So Patrick Mahomes, obviously 100% at number 1. Josh Allen is at number 2 for me. Huge step forward in 2020. I'm expecting the same kind of production in 2021. We know we get a little bit on the ground. We know that the guy calls his own number within the 5-yard line at the goal line, which always helps. We know that big arm has finally adjusted to the NFL game. Instead of throwing to guys a little bit late, he's throwing them open a little bit better. He's going down the field. We know he's got that type of an arm to go deep. Stephon Diggs has been just a huge asset for him. We're going to have Gabriel Davis there, who's a big guy, who's a big name player. So really, Josh Allen's got all of his weapons around him for an extended time, which is good. So Josh Allen at number 2, Kyler Murray at number 3. A lot of people right now are kind of like, ugh, Murray. Just because he had a bad end to 2020, and that's recency bias at its best, right? That is when recency bias really hurts people because people look at Kyler Murray and they just see what he did at the end of 2020 and they're like, I'm kind of out at this point. But he got hurt. he got hurt and all of his numbers came down because of that shoulder injury, okay? So it's not that he was playing bad. That shoulder injury really kept him from progressing. This was an MVP candidate about halfway through the year. I'm not moving off Kyler Murray. Uber talented, and again, he's going to add a little bit on the ground, which is always nice. Justin Herbert's at number 4 for me. Now, there might be some people who have Lamar Jackson at 5 or 3, and I get it if you do, and I'm not hating on Lamar Jackson whatsoever, but I'm just taking a look at Justin Herbert, the weapons that he has, that offense that he has, that upgraded offensive line. He showed last year that he really truly has he really truly has the attributes necessary to be good at this level. Okay. He did nothing last year to make me think that he's not going to be good moving forward. Okay. And there's still a lot of people who are kind of looking off of that college game tape that he had his last year at Oregon. Oregon's offense was not for Justin Herbert. Okay. The NFL offense that he's in is for Justin Herbert, okay? He's no good. He's not great at that read option, spread the ball around. That's not Justin Herbert's game, and that's what they do at Oregon, okay? His game is a little bit more sit back in the pocket, air it out, go through your reads. You don't do that at Oregon, okay? So what I saw last year, give me that rookie year of NFL tape over any tape that he had in college, okay? And he had really good tape up until his final year. His final year was bad. It dropped people down on him. Now they're kind of slowly making their way back up because they're like, is this right or not? Give me the NFL game tape. That's what matters to me. Lamar Jackson at number 5, okay? We know that the guy is going to get you yards on the ground. We know he's one of the more dynamic players in the NFL. For me personally, it's just that can we see him grow as a passer this year? He's not a bad passer by any means, and now he's got weapons, and the weapons he has are going to be around for a while, right? J.K. Dobbins is going to be around for the next couple of years. We've got Marquise Brown, who's still going to have 3 years left on his contract now. So we've got those two guys, okay? Obviously, we just drafted, we just got Bateman out of Minnesota, so that's a great draft pick there that's going to be around for a few years. Mark Andrews is still going to be around. So Lamar Jackson has all of his weapons, okay? So if we see that step forward taking place, Lamar Jackson's probably number 2 or 3 for me next year if we see that growth of the passer. Joe Burrow, it's really, for me, honestly, he's got all the weapons. That offensive line scares the hell out of me right now, okay? I'm scared that Joe Burrow is going to take another injury like he did last year. So it's just about that longevity. If they can get an offensive line in front of him, awesome, that's great. But holy moly, protect Joe, please. For the love of God, Bengals. Get him a better offensive line over the next couple of years. You should have taken Sewell. You didn't. Whatever, okay? I love Joe Burrow. Going to be a great player for years to come. Trevor Lawrence at number 7. We haven't even seen anything yet from him, but we know that he's got all the talent in the world, right? So in Dynasty right now, honestly, I'm taking him over any of the guys below him right now, okay? That's how good he is. That's how good he's going to be. We'll talk about maybe one exception here in a second. Dak Prescott at number 8, not really willing to drop him down all the way yet. We know that defense is not that good. It's probably another year or two away. They could make some changes to it, but they're going to end up getting rid of some guys before they bring some guys in. So Dak, for me, I don't think we're going to see him running as much anymore, and that's why he comes a little bit more down. But he just signed that 4-year deal, or was it 4 or 5 year deal, okay? So he's going to be set for the next few years in that offense. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got Michael Gallup. At this point, he's got Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper could be out of Dallas sooner rather than later. Trey Lance at number 9, okay? The only reason that Trey Lance is only at number 9 right now is because I'm not 100% sure that he starts in 2021. If he does, I'm on board. I love Trey Lance, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely love him. He was my QB3 in this draft behind Lawrence and behind Fields. I love Trey Lance. I've got absolutely nothing against the guy. But he sat out 2020. Is he going to... We haven't seen that before. A quarterback that basically sits out the entire college season and then comes in and starts right away in the NFL? I don't think so. Unless Jimmy G gets hurt. If Jimmy G goes out there and he's performing well and this team is winning and he's not having issues, Trey Lance is going to stay on the bench for a while. Okay? If Jimmy G isn't doing that, then he'll come in. But I see like a Patrick Mahomes-esque rise for Trey Lance, okay? And Trey Lance and Patrick Mahomes had some similar tape coming out of college. So I've kind of got those two linked together, and I think play-wise and style-wise, they mirror each other a little bit as well. So for Trey Lance, for me, he kind of follows that route of Patrick Mahomes where maybe he sits for a year, maybe gets like that start towards the end of the season, and then in 2022 is when he takes over. And that's why he's a little bit lower right now, is because we might not get anything from him this year, okay? So that hurts again, obviously, a little bit. And then as he gets back into that gameplay, so he sits basically all of 2019, he sits 2020 as well, and now he sits all of 2020, he sits 2021 for the majority, and then now we're trying to get him into 2021. I don't see MVP numbers like that first season for Trey Lance. Patrick Mahomes had better weapons when he came into the league, but Trey Lance, again, similar, is going to probably be about a top 5, top 6 option next year. We just don't know what we're going to get out of him this year. Justin Fields, kind of the same thing. Don't know what we're going to get this year. I would be willing to bet that Justin Fields is the week 1 starter for the Chicago Bears, but we don't know. And it's about Allen Robinson for me as well. If I knew Allen Robinson was going to be locked up for the next few years, I'd probably put Justin Fields above Dak Prescott, but I don't know that. And that's part of my concern there, is who's going to be his number 1 wide receiver. I don't think Darnell Mooney is a number 1 wide receiver. Anthony Miller has had trouble at this point. You do have Cole Kmet, but he's going to lose a lot of touches to Jimmy Graham still this year, but Kmet will be around for a while. So who's that alpha wide receiver 1? I don't know that yet, and that's why Justin Fields sits at number 10 for me. Let's move on to the next 10. We've got Zach Wilson sitting at number 11. I like the upside for Zach Wilson, and I like the weapons that he has in New York as well. I just don't know what to expect from the New York offense yet at this point, okay? Got to see that, and that's why I've only got him at number 11 right now, because I don't know the type of offense they're going to be implementing, and I don't know how he's going to adjust to that right away or how that plays to his strengths, okay? After we get some 2021 film on him with the Jets and we know what they're going to be doing and what their game plan is, Zach Wilson could obviously take a couple of steps up at this point. I'd like to see that offensive line get a little bit better over the next year or two as well. Russell Wilson, part of my concern about Russell Wilson at this point is he even going to be in Seattle anymore? Where does Russell Wilson even end up at this point? I don't know. It seems like he's going to be out of here at some point in time. So when does that happen? Where does he go to? What are they going to do weapons-wise? And not only that, but when do they've unleashed Russell Wilson basically 1 year in his career? Let the man throw the ball. They're going to go back to a run-heavy offense, it sounds like. So Russell Wilson, his ceiling is starting to disappear. Matthew Stafford at 13 for me would be a little bit higher if the Los Angeles Rams weren't basically in a 2-year window at this point, because that's all they've got. They've got no first-round picks for the next couple of years. They have a lot of players on really high-end contracts, including Stafford. What's this team going to look like in a couple of years? If they hit this 2-year window and all of a sudden they can't afford, and Robert Woods is gone and Cooper Kupp is gone, now you've only got Cam Akers, but the offensive line has taken a hit because you can't afford to pay anybody, and you don't have first-round picks. You're trading all your picks away, so you haven't been able to reinforce that offensive line with younger talent. That's my concern, is what's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe in 2 years the Rams have to trade Stafford because they can't handle the contract. That's part of my concern and why I've got him at 13, because I don't know where this team is headed. At 14, it's Aaron Rodgers, because who knows if he'll even be in the league at this point. Is he going to be in Green Bay? Is he going to retire? There's been talk, what if he sits out 2021? We don't know. Aaron Rodgers would be higher on my list if I had any idea what he was going to do over the next few years. I don't. Jalen Hurts at number 15. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a fabulous athlete. I think he's a gifted football player. I don't know if he's consistent enough to play at a high level every week in the NFL. Okay. And we'll have some more Jalen Hurts stuff coming up this offseason. I'm concerned about his accuracy in the NFL. At times he makes really, really good passes. Like hard passes, he makes them look easy. And all of a sudden, easy passes, he makes them look really difficult. Okay. He's got some inconsistency issues in the passing game. And Philadelphia doesn't seem necessarily committed to him. I mean, there was talk of Philly trying to move up to draft Zach Wilson this year or to draft another quarterback, and it didn't end up happening. So because of that, there are some concerns that Jalen Hurts, maybe his own team doesn't even believe he's the guy. For Tua at 16, I got to see him healthy, okay? He missed all of 2019 with that, or not all of, but a majority of 2019 with that disgusting hip injury. Didn't even know how that would affect him, when he'd be able to play again. Gets drafted still by Miami. Comes back this past year, but he basically missed all of 2019 with a hip injury. So 2020, I'm not going to hold it against him, but I got to see he's healthy, and I got to see he takes a step forward this year. That's why I'm a little bit lower right now. Daniel Jones, kind of like what I said with Jalen Hurts, he seems inconsistent at times. He's going to go down the field. I mean, in terms of deep passing, he was actually one of the better deep passers on a not on an overall scale, okay? But he was one of the better deep passers on a per pass basis last year. I like that about Daniel Jones, and I think they've given him plenty of weapons, okay? But is he going to be able to take that next step forward, okay? I didn't love Daniel Jones coming out. I don't think he has the best tape in the world in college. He's had inconsistent tape since he's come into the league. I got to see a more consistent Daniel Jones. At 18, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, for me, okay, unfortunately is this low because it's a run-heavy offense, right? Baker Mayfield is not going to put up huge fantasy football numbers. He's a good NFL quarterback. He plays in a system that fits him. He's not going to be a top-end fantasy producer anytime soon because they know what his strengths are and they play to his strengths with a run-first offense. And then you get him moving out of the pocket on a lot of some of that RPO stuff, some of that option read things. You get him out of the pocket, get him throwing on the run. That's perfect. That's what Baker Mayfield does so well. Carson Wentz at 19. Can we rejuvenate this career in Indianapolis? I think so. However, what do we got weapons-wise? We've got Jonathan Taylor. We got a really good offensive line. Is Michael Pittman going to take that next step? Okay, is he going to be a guy that you're going to be able to rely on? I don't know. And you brought T.Y. Hilton back instead of investing in a younger wide receiver or a younger wide receiver in the draft. So that kind of concerns me is who's going to be that weapon for him over the next several years? And Mac Jones at number 20, we know he's going to take over for this offense sooner rather than later. But when is that? And personally, I like Mac Jones. I think he's going to be a decent NFL quarterback. But to me, he reminds me more of like an Alex Smith outside of what he was in Kansas City that one big year. You know, Alex Smith to me where is kind of a game manager, where it's making the right throws, not necessarily pushing the ball down the field the entire time, using your weapons and letting them make plays after the catch and things of that nature, and potentially having a really good run game. They've got him some tight ends. That could limit some of that big play ability. So a lot of that deep passing that we might see with some of these other quarterbacks, that might be hampered over the next couple of years. Mac Jones, I still think he makes it into the top 20, though. Headliner Nation, there you have it, my top 20 Dynasty quarterbacks. Listen, like I said at the beginning of the video, you have to know how I'm ranking these guys, and we're looking at this 3-year window. So I hope that makes a lot more sense, okay? But do me a favor, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Also, leave me a comment down below in Dynasty Leagues who is the one quarterback that you want to own outside of Patrick Mahomes. And then also make sure you hit the like button on the video. We really appreciate that. Headliner Nation, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all stay safe and stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.